Hey there, my friend. You're listening to the Leadership Table with Chad Reyes. Today, I'm just so excited to share with you about the methodology of what we do when we develop leaders. Often I have this conversation when I'm speaking with groups. I'll give them an example. I say, my older brother is an amazing chef, amazing, and when he cooks barbecue ribs, they taste amazing. So one day I give him a call. I say, "Hey, Mark, I have this friends coming over that I want to make these ribs for, but every time I make the ribs, they never taste like yours." And I said, and it's frustrating actually. It's very frustrating. So I said to him, "What do you do?" So he said to me, he goes, "Chad, tell me what you do." I said, "Hey, listen, I buy the same ribs as you. I put the same barbecue sauce and I throw it on the same type of barbecue." I said, "But they never taste the same." Now, my friend, what I'm about to say to you, you don't want to miss, because what he said is this. He said, "You use the same ingredients, but let me share with you what I do." He said, when I buy the ribs, the same ribs as you, he says, I take those ribs and I put them in tin foil and I put them in the oven for 2.5 hours at 275. I said, "I don't do that." He said, "Then what I do is I take those ribs after the 2.5 hours and I let them sit on the stove for another 30 minutes. I don't do that either." He said, "At that point, I take the same barbecue sauce as you and I put it on the ribs." I said, "Okay, I do that." He said, "And then for an hour prior, I have the barbecue on a low flame." Okay. He said, "And then I put the ribs on the barbecue for another hour to an hour and a half on a low flame and let them cook." I said, "Wow." Now, this is the thing you don't want to miss. He said, "Chad, you like my ribs because of my process." Think about that for a moment. A process is what allows him to consistently produce good ribs that are delicious when he has people over to his home. Now, I'm a sucker for good ribs because I love barbecue ribs. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is there's a process in leading people. And I want to talk to you about these 4 phases of leadership. These 4 phases of leadership are the 4 phases that every leader has to go through. So the first phase is self-leadership. And what I've seen over my career of 20 years working with leaders is that organizations and teams and ministries, they will put leaders in a position to lead others, and they're not leading themselves well. The very first phase of leadership is we have to lead ourselves well. And the reason is, if we lead ourselves well, then we've earned the right to go to the second phase, which is one-on-one leadership. It's where we get to mentor and coach another person. And if we've done phase 2 well, then we can move to phase 3. And phase 3 is where we have team leadership. And then if we do that well and we manage a team of people, well, maybe we can move to organizational leadership, which is phase 4, or leading an entire division, or leading a company. You see, my friend and mentor, John Maxwell, he has this saying. He says, "We teach what we know, but we reproduce who we are." And the reason why I'm bringing that up to you today is this, is that if we reproduce who we are, then we got to get phase 1 right. So when we look at phase 1, then what actually is comprised of phase 1? I want to walk you through a conversation I've been having with leaders lately. I think you're going to find it to be tremendously valuable. So let me just share with you right now. We're talking about IQ, EQ, and AQ. Now, why is that important? The reason why that's important is that IQ, for so long, we've been told that IQ is so important, the intellectual quotient, that's the ability to learn and understand and apply information and process data and memorize. We've been told, listen, the whole education system is built around that. But my friend, that the reason why I'm sharing this is that in this world that we're in today, it's not as important as it used to be. And I'll go further into that. But let me unpack the need for EQ. EQ is the emotional quotient, and it really comprises five things, right? It's the ability for someone to perceive themselves well, perceive what they're good at, what they're not good at, areas that make them more stressed than they're not. So the ability to have a self-perception, that's the first part of EQ. The second is their ability to express themselves, their ability to say, okay, this is what I'm feeling, and express it to others. The third is to build good relationships, good, solid, healthy relationships. The fourth is to make good decisions, good decision making. And then the last one is the ability to manage stressful environments and stress management. You see, statistics show that when a leader does those five things well, they are 4 times financially more successful. Now, that's powerful. And why is that powerful? It's powerful because we as leaders can focus on those 5 things and develop our leadership ability, develop our ability to positively make a difference in other people's lives. But if we're so focused on IQ, which we still have a world that's so focused on IQ, and I'm going to jump into that, it's going to be much harder to make an impact. And then the last one is AQ. I've been talking to leaders as I was preparing to do a leadership talk probably about a year and a half ago. I was thinking, what is the thing that most people are struggling through? And it's the ability to adapt, the adaptability quotient. It's the reason why COVID was so difficult for many people, because they had gotten so used to one way of doing things that COVID radically changed how they had to do everything. So I'm sharing this with you today because I think it's so important. This IQ, EQ, and AQ is such a game changer. You know, like I said, statistics show 4 times greater success with someone that has a higher EQ. Now, I want to give you this. Many years ago, I heard this, and I've been sharing it a lot around adaptability quotient. Someone had interviewed the great Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky, if you don't know, phenomenal hockey player, probably the Michael Jordan of the hockey world, right? And when he was interviewed after a game, they asked him, they said, Wayne, what makes you so much better than all the other players? Now, this is a one that you do not want to miss. He said, most players are going to where the puck is. He said, I go to where the puck is going. He's anticipating where the puck is going because he knows that if he goes to where the puck is, as soon as he gets to where the puck was supposed to be, the puck moved. So now he's got to move to where the puck moved to. Great leaders are able to anticipate change. They're able to prepare for change. And then the last one is this. They're able to benefit from change. Now, I don't say benefit meaning manipulate. I don't mean that they're taking advantage. I mean benefit from change because you saw more and before. It's a very powerful leadership conversation we're having today. Because on the leadership table, this is where mature leaders have mature conversations. And I can tell you that most leaders focus so much on IQ and they don't develop the EQ, the emotional quotient, and they don't develop the adaptability quotient. I remember, I'll give you a quick story. I remember some years back, my wife and I, we used to live in a high-rise over on the waterfront. And I remember when there was a hurricane that came in, and they were telling us to evacuate the building. Now, I did my homework before we made a decision. And one of the things that I found out is when a high rise is built, it's built to sway. And in this scenario, this building was built to sway about 10 feet to the left and to the right. And the reason why it sways is that gives it the adaptability. And I'll tell you what, though. So my wife and I, we made a decision to stay in the building, which I'm very happy that we made that decision because I think it was the safest place for us to be. But we did experience adaptability because when we were in that building, we felt the building move. And it did this. It was moving. Why does it move like that? So that the building doesn't crumble. That adaptability is what allows it to have sustainability. And as leaders, we got to be careful that we don't confuse adaptability with compromise. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying as a leader is that we got to be adaptable. We have to be able to move as things change so that we can still accomplish the vision. We can still make a difference in people's lives. And my friend, as we continue in this conversation, I'm about to challenge you. And that's okay because like I said before, mature leaders have mature conversations, right? So this is a mature conversation that we're about to have. Listen in. In the world that we're in today, more than ever before, IQ is becoming less important than EQ. Now, why do I say that? Why I say that is I've taken pictures on my phone of things that were very complicated, electrical systems, HVAC systems, technology, and I've taken a picture and I put it on ChatGPT and asked it to tell me what it was used for, how I can, what's the directions on how to utilize it. One Saturday, I'll give you an example. One Saturday, my wife and I, we were underneath a bridge in New York City. We were driving. We weren't underneath the bridge. We were driving on the street, and we saw in the water. We saw this type of boat, but it was very. To be quite honest with you, it was a little concerning because it looked like a warship, but it wasn't. And I took a picture of it, and I asked ChatGPT, "Tell me what this is, and tell me what it's used for." And it told me that it was a ro-ro, and that's where cargo ships, where they bring stuff on the ship. Like that would have taken me hours to figure out 5 years ago what that was. I would have been looking up all different types of pictures of ships. Is that the right ship? In 20 seconds, I had exactly what it was. And then I confirmed it with one of our coaches who is a retired Navy SEAL. I confirmed it with him, and it was exactly what he said it was. Now, why is that important? That's important because in the world we're living that is moving as fast as we're moving, the ability to utilize AI ethically is so key. You see, AI is where the puck is going. Now, we don't have to like it. I'll be real honest with you. For a short period of time when I heard about it, I was like, I don't want to use that. That thing's going to, you don't know what it's going to do. That, you don't know if it's going to tell you right information or not. But as you start leaning in, remember, leaders lean in and are adaptable. As I started doing that, I started recognizing, wow, this thing could help me. Just last week, I'll give you an example. Just last week, I had 6 speaking engagements. 6. In years prior, I maybe was only able to do 2. But with the use of AI, with the use of being able to gather stories, statistics, things, historical content, things that would have taken me and my team hours was done in minutes. And instead now, I was able to focus on the people that were in the room. I was able to focus on making a difference in their lives. I was able to encourage them. And my friend, I don't know where you are. I don't know with what you're doing in your career, your business, your family, but I can tell you this, that you can embrace it. And great leaders are embracing and figuring out how to use it. Me as a person of faith, for me, it's important that when we do use AI, I want it to give me a biblical worldview. I don't want to hear things that is not in alignment with my worldview when it comes to data that I'm asking for. So there'll be times where I'll ask it to give me this through a biblical worldview. You could do that. You just got to know how to do it. I want to challenge you that if you're using AI, then how can you continue to use it to be better? We have this conversation we have with leaders. I have it with our teams. We talk about the cycle of success, which is test, fail, learn, improve, re-enter. It's test, fail, learn, improve, re-enter. I want to just share with you that when we get to the learn and then we move to improve, ask the question, how can AI improve this? And it'll change everything. Because what'll start happening is you'll start thinking, how can I use AI who could be much more effective than I when it comes to the IQ? I'm going to give you some data right now around this. Most people have an IQ of under 110. Like 110 to 119 is a good IQ. 119 to 130 is a really good IQ. 130 plus is superior IQ. AI is about 155 in an IQ when it comes to applying information, processing data, memorizing information. You see, we all now have it at our fingertips. The question is, how do we use it to do good? How do we use it to help grow our ministries? How do we use it to help grow our businesses? How do we use it to make a bigger impact? Just last week, like I mentioned to you, I used it to be able to help 6 groups instead of 2 groups. Listen, is the AI going to get up in front of the people and talk? No, I'm going to do that. And if I get up and I don't know what I'm talking about, they're going to know that I'm not legitimate. I'm a fraud. So I got to know the information. So I'm not saying use the AI to replace knowledge. What I'm saying is you could use AI to gather data that then can help you be more effective in an area that you're very good in anyways. I say often that leaders should stay in their strengths. If you have leaders and weaknesses, then how is that helping anyone? But leaders staying in their strengths is very powerful. And now more than ever, it's so key for leaders to embrace adaptability. It really is. I wish I could share with you when I speak with groups, when I speak with leaders, how important adaptability is. And the reason why adaptability is so important is that we are living right now in a time that things are moving quicker. Technology is moving quicker than it's ever. And the truth of it is that technology, a lot of the times, we should be thinking, how does technology systemize the things that we're doing so that we could be opened up to do the things that we're really good at that no one else can do? We call those systems for freedom. How do we create systems that allow us to have freedom to do the things that we love doing and that we're world class at? My friend, you're listening to the Leadership Table with Chad Reyes, and we are having a conversation today on IQ, the intellectual quotient, EQ, the emotional quotient, and AQ, the adaptability quotient. I want to kind of, as we conclude today, I want to recap the beginning of our conversation. You see, in those 4 phases of leadership that I mentioned to you earlier, we have to learn to lead ourselves well. We have to learn to utilize AI to help us, give us a competitive advantage in the whole IQ side of things. On the EQ side, we got to utilize developing our emotional quotient. What is that? The ability to perceive ourselves accurately. The things that I'm good at, the things that I'm not good at, the things that get me irritated. So we got to perceive ourselves. The second part of it is we got to develop the skill set to express ourselves effectively. Express to people, our teams, our leaders, our families, what we are experiencing, what we're feeling, so that we can build the next part, good relationships. So we got to perceive ourselves, we got to express ourselves, we got to build good relationships. The fourth part of an emotionally healthy leader is they have to be able to consistently make good decisions. The decision-making process has to get better. And then the last one is, how do they manage stress? Stress management. You see, as a leader, if we do those things really well, we will radically improve the probability of our teams and our organizations growing, of the people in our teams growing well. And then adaptability. We need to adapt well. We need to be able to anticipate change. We need to be prepared for change. And then we need to learn how to ethically benefit from change. My friend, when we do those things well, and we do that well in phase 1 of the 4 phases of leadership, self-leadership, then what we can do is we could reproduce that in others. We could reproduce that in phase 2, which is where we then go mentor a person or we coach a person one-on-one. And then we go to the 3rd phase, which is where we lead a team. And then the last phase, which is where we lead an organization or a division. You see, my friend, this is the key, and don't miss this. We will teach what we know, but we will reproduce who we are. And if we as leaders are not doing the whole IQ, EQ, and AQ well, we're going to reproduce that in our people. We're going to reproduce that in our families. We're going to reproduce that in our ministries. And I could just tell you this. I believe that leadership is going to be the greatest thing that will impact this society outside of the love of Jesus. Leadership is the way that we can make our society better, our businesses better, our families better. So my friend, as you move forward, as you continue and you take this message, I want to encourage you that keep pressing in, keep learning, always make your future brighter than your past. And I will tell you this, that you will see some amazing things in your life. I often tell leaders that are more mature and seasoned in age, that are trying to slow down and they're saying, well, I don't need necessarily to do what I used to do. And I say, maybe you don't need to financially, but you do need to for the next generation because they're watching. Your kids are watching, your grandkids are watching, your team members are watching, your ministries are watching. My friend, keep leading well, finish strong, run the race well. May God bless you. Thank you for allowing me into your life today. Hey there, my friend Chad Reyes. I am so excited about our radio show coming up, The Leadership Table with Chad Reyes. It's every Sunday at 6:30. Then we're going to go live on Monday at 6:30 so you could ask your own questions. Jump on in. We cannot wait to have you join us. It's going to be a time where I invite some of the greatest leaders I know to join me at a table. And what I've learned about a leadership table is that's where potential is released. Every Sunday, you want to join us. You want to be sitting at that table with us so that you can reach your potential, you can release it in others, and you can accomplish your dreams. My friend, like, share, comment, drop a comment. I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. I just can't wait for you to be on with us. I cannot wait. And listen, hey, hit subscribe at our YouTube channel. Visit chadreyes.com/WMCA and you'll get all the details you need. I'll see you on the table.